The Barlow knife, a knife originating in England but soon became known as American as apple pie itself. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This week, for Knife of the Week, we're going to be touching on the Barlow knife. This is considered to be one of the oldest pocket knife patterns in history, a knife that is very richly steeped not only in American culture but also in English culture where it originated. A knife that's pretty much universally recognized, has been featured in famous books, has been featured in songs, and is pretty much just associated with all things Americana. So, the Barlow knife itself originated in Sheffield, England in the late 1600s. They believe it to be around the 1670s. It was imported over to the United States back when we were still a colony of England, and a lot of the colonists, including George Washington himself, carried Barlow knives in their pockets. It was a very handy pattern to have at the time. When it was created, it was mainly just a single blade, what you would consider a pen knife, which, if you were a businessman, a farmer, a construction worker, a soldier, pretty much anyone, this knife could fit your needs as a utility knife, be it for whittling, paring fruit, slicing baler twine, pretty much you name it. That was what it was used for back then. Nowadays, the Barlow has gone through a couple different variations, but the general pattern stays the same, which is a teardrop style handle, as you can see here. Big bolsters on one side of the knife. Generally, there's usually a shield pattern like the case has here, or there's a marking of some sort on the bolsters itself. And usually there are two blades on these. There's usually a main clip point or drop point blade. Some of the single blade ones have a sheep's foot pattern. And then there's usually a smaller pen blade on the other side. And another another telltale sign of the Barlows is they are non-locking knives. They are primarily a slip joint knife. So, as I was saying, this knife was also made famous in part not only because our first president and the father of the Revolution himself, George Washington, carried one, but also because it was featured in a famous book by Mark Twain, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, in which he mentioned the Barlow a couple different times throughout his story. And there was even a song written about it called The Barlow Knife. If you YouTube search it or Google search it, you can find it. It's a pretty neat song. It's kind of an old, kind of a folk song. Like I said, the Barlow has gone through a couple different variations throughout history. Remington did one called the Granddaddy Barlow. I'm going to put a picture of it up right now for you folks to see. It's the one on the right, which was sort of a jumbo Barlow, kind of like the large trapper knives, where it's just basically a Barlow on steroids and it's a big single blade, which is a really cool looking pattern. There have also been single bladed sheep's foot design ones, which are pretty neat. They kind of almost look like a sailor's knife in a lot of ways, where it doesn't have the tip on the blade. It's more rounded over for just slicing rope and general utility work. There are also, like the Boker tree brand Barlow here, where instead of like the case where the secondary blade is on the back side, it's on the front, and it also has a drop point blade and a larger nail nick on it there, which is a pretty unique piece. You generally don't see a whole lot of them with the drop point blade like that, so it's pretty cool to see that. And that still has the same secondary pen blade on it there. But mainly the traditional Barlow style knives that you find loop into these sort of patterns here, like the K-bar on my left here, or the Baron Sun Rosewood Barlow on the right. This was one I got into. I had an engraver from Harbor Freight there and got to messing around with the bolsters, so no, it doesn't come that way from the factory. As you can see there, the Baron Sun's kind of curves down a little bit more. It's not as flat as like the cases or the K-bar is. That's just sort of the way they're designed for it is. But generally, the regular outline of the knives stays the same. Some of the known manufacturers out there that still make a lot of the Barlow knives, pretty much every company has made them at some point or another. I'm just going to give you guys a quick list of them. These are just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. So we have W.R. Case and Sons, which made them as a limited production run. I think it was 2022 or 2023 when they made those. They do still have some of the vault release single blade patterns. You can still pick up one of the two bladed ones pretty easily. If you look on like eBay or Amazon, usually people are selling them. Remington had a couple different variations throughout the bullet knife run series. They made two, to my knowledge. There was the 40th anniversary edition one, and then there was the Trail Guide, which I think was 2022's pattern. Baron Sun has made quite a few different versions of it. They have a carbon steel version. They have a bone stag handle on it there. And then they have the rosewood stainless steel one here. K-Bar, which I don't think they still produce them anymore, but you can find one of these without too much difficulty, and usually for a pretty good price too. And the K-Bars are very well built. These were definitely back in the days of higher quality when they made these knives. Utica Cutlery, which I had one back in the day. I would be leery of buying one of their newer ones. The quality of them just isn't quite what it used to be. The one that I bought, I had issues with the pins not being seated properly. The blade wasn't ground right. I think they designed them to be more of a display piece nowadays than they do to be used. But still, if you're looking for just something to put as like a decoration piece on your desk, you can still get them pretty cheap. Boker still makes single blade Barlows. They don't make the drop point 2-blade Barlow anymore, but they do make some really cool single blade. I think they make a sheep's foot pattern one still. Schrade, if you're looking for a affordable one and then you don't mind getting one that's made overseas like China, you can get the Imperial Jackmaster 278. And I think it's I can't remember what the old timer pattern is, but they do make that Barlow, and you can usually get them for about $10 or $15. Also, for overseas made ones that you can get cheaply, there are the Rough Riders, which are very well built for the price. You can usually get one of their Barlows for less than $20 typically. And also, Frost Cutlery makes a couple of Barlows. They're about the same price and about the same quality as Rough Rider. If you are looking for another kind of almost like a Baron Sun lookalike, Colonel Coon, which you can find them on Smoky Mountain Knife Works website, they make a Barlow. It's a walnut with the walnut handle with the carbon steel blades, and it's a pretty nice looking knife too. And then if you really want to go back to the original Barlow style pattern itself, which is just the single blade clip point knife, you can get one from a company called Taylor's Eyewitness. I'm going to put the link up here in the description. And they are straight out of Sheffield, England, still made in Sheffield, England. And you can, the price tends to vary on depending what material you get the handle in. But I did find one on there for, I think it was 70 pounds, which is roughly about $97 United States. So you can check those guys out. There's some beautiful looking knives. I've never actually held one in person, but just what I saw on the website, I was pretty impressed. So if I ever get the chance, I might pick one up and I'll be sure to show you guys. And that's about it as far as the Barlow knives go. I hope you guys enjoy. Hope you're enjoying your summer, and stay tuned for the 4th of July. Hope you guys enjoy. We'll catch you next time.